Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni, and I'm an energy healer. I actually want to say that I'm an emotion and body code energy healer and empowerment coach. And I work mainly with people suffering from chronic pain, chronic illnesses, or unexplained medical conditions. This podcast has really one message, and that is of bringing alternative hope for healing. So if you're watching, if you're listening, I hope that you sit back and find the message that was meant for you today. And before we get started, or maybe we should just get started, and with me today, Harleen Bagga. Harleen, so lovely to have you here today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Enif. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with you and your audience.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. So tell us something about you.
All right. So my journey has been unique in the sense that my education was in Bachelor's of Computer Science. So I that's how I started. So I worked for Microsoft for about around 10 years in Redmond, Washington. And it's there that I actually developed it took a long time for it to be diagnosed. To be honest, they could not diagnose it for almost 5 to 6 years, and that is SLE. So I have what is called as lupus,
Mhm.
and it was largely undiagnosed till the fact that I had both my kids, and then I became completely debilitated. That for some weird reason, the doctors struggled, and a large part of the latter stay in US of mine was just making all these doctor visits, and um, and I think that's the first time that I really realized how, I'm sorry to say, but how commercial the medical field is. Right? It's supposed to be something that's precious. It's supposed to be something that's supposed to give life, give compassion, give hope, provide. But then what it took from me was hope, because I was just running from one doctor to another, to another, to another, because it's an autoimmune disorder. So when it's autoimmune, it means that it's impacting different parts and different faculties of your body, like I'm sure you already know, right? So obviously, so if it's the lungs, you're going to a pulmonologist. If it's your, then if it's vascular, you're going to a vascular surgeon. If it is OBY related, you're going to an OBY. Then you're going to a neurologist. Then you're going to a derma, and everyone's just treating the symptoms. It gets really annoying, right? And you feel like a cow who's just being milked, just being milked. That's it.
Mhm.
Now I know how cows feel. So that was my journey. But coming back to what I'm doing right now, I am a psychotherapist. So I did go back to school. I said enough is enough. It's time to take my health, my life into my own hands. I didn't like the fact that I could not be there for my child. It was my both my kids actually. It was really eating me up, because my dream of being a mom was literally to play basketball with them. I mean, that was my vision of, of being the kind of mom that I wanted to be. So that's it. I went back to school. I am a psychotherapist. I am a certified life coach. I am a CBT, NLP, mindfulness, and hypnotherapy practitioner. And I love what I do. I've been doing it for 5 years right now. My practice is is global, just like what you and me were talking about, Enough. That's the beauty, right? So when people need help, and when help is really being requested in the universe, I think people like you and me just crop up, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's God's way of just balancing nature, I feel. So that's what I do. Here I am helping people, and whenever someone needs help, they reach out, and we make sure we get to the bottom of it.
yeah. So let's get back to that time when as you're saying, you were feeling the symptoms. You knew that something was not right. Going from one doctor to the next, every one of them giving you a lot of maybe this, maybe that, but no real answer. How was life for you back then? What were you feeling? What was the symptoms that you that you were going through?
Life was busy because I think it started after my firstborn, um, and then I just got diagnosed with fibromyalgia because I had a lot of unexplained aches and pains, right? That is something that both you and me deal with right now. Like we help clients deal with it right now.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so I was on the receiving end. I was on the audience end where so the doctors diagnosed it as fibromyalgia because that's what it was, and it was feeling of lethargy, feeling of a lot of pain, right? And I've been, like I just mentioned, I've been very active. I've been into sports. Yeah, there's a fire under my butt all the time, under my feet all the time. I find it difficult to sit still. Yeah, that's me. I have to be active. I have to keep moving. Um, so the beginning was that, I didn't know. I was very young. I got married very early. I had my firstborn very early. I was a kid myself. I was 25 when I had my son. So at that point, I didn't know. And then work, since I was working for Microsoft, work was very hectic, right? And then when we wanted to have our second kid, I had miscarriages, and then we couldn't figure out why. And then my second pregnancy was tough. There, every month was a fire drill. Every month, literally, my gynaec was like, "I'm not sure if your baby's going to make it. I'm not sure later on if you're going to make it." And the complications were so much that in the end, when it was time to get into delivery, she literally told my husband, that there's only one person. It's possible that one person might have to survive, and you have to choose. Tell us, who do you want? So it is not fun. It was that pregnancy was a roller coaster. It took a lot from me, but in the end, it made me stronger. It gave me faith. It made me believe in God and miracles.
Well, something has to, right?
Yeah, something has to, right? There you go.
Yeah.
So the symptoms are all over the place. Honestly, initially, we didn't know. Right? It was just pain. I think the short answer to your question, Nina, would be it was just unexplained, literally unexplained aches and symptoms, right? Sometimes it's a headache, sometimes. And my second pregnancy, I was just breaking out into a rash. And there was no fixed food because it's not like, you're an allergy or you're eating gluten and then I'm reacting, or I'm eating shellfish or peanuts and I'm reacting. I mean, today I'm eating a salad with a dressing and I'm reacting. Tomorrow I'm eating something else and I'm reacting. Day after I'm eating the same thing and I'm fine. So so that's all it was. At least initially. Later on, once the diagnosis happened and I started paying attention, then I got to know, I'm having joint pains, I'm having asthmatic attacks, or I'm having, whatever, bleeding, or I'm having derma issues, or I'm getting pigmentation, or I'm getting a rash. So later on, I'm getting these unexplained. I would, for hours, I would just hold my tummy and just curl up. It would just hurt and hurt, and nobody knew why. I mean, the amount of ER tips I've done. There's a reason why we moved back to India. US became too expensive.
I can imagine.
Yes. So of course, because anything happened, we were all scared at that time. We didn't know. And like I said, I was young. I mean, I had both my kids before I was 30. And I was having all of this. So
you got the diagnosis in the States, and then did you come back to India for the treatment?
So the beauty is because everything, so nothing really worked, right? So I had steroids for 2-3 years. I had, so that everything was taking a number on you. So the answer there is, something is wrong. Here you go, pills. Something is wrong. Here you go. Here you go. So literally just pills being thrown. Then I don't know how. I don't remember the origin, but I think I would just say faith, right? And I believe in God and faith, or whatever that superpower is, right? I went to a hospital in Seattle that deals with natural medicine. the roots of which are in actually in India, naturopathy. So Dr. Milkis, Stephen Milkis, he was godsend. So he got me on a diet. So we did the elimination diet, and because he strongly believed, and he made me and my husband see that there's a strong correlation between your food and how you're feeling,
Mhm.
and that was the secret sauce. And that is something that I completely, that changed my life, that gave me my independence and my mobility.
Mhm.
So we went through this entire elimination diet, and for months, and then I realized that I can't eat a lot of things. A lot of things don't agree with my body. So it was, of course, at that time it seemed like an act of Herculean discipline and effort. But now it doesn't matter, because I have so much more. I mean, so what if I can't eat stuff? Who cares? I have
Yeah.
my life.
So as you started, getting to know this new eating habits and knew what was right and what was not right, how? So I think that the topic of the conversation, right, is from wheelchair to healing.
Correct.
So how quickly did you notice that things were actually working out and that you could see that the difference in how you were feeling?
So it took time, right? The reason that the our decision to move to India, or move away from Seattle, was because I think somewhere the weather was not helping, and I had already reached a point where my body was not able to sustain. So my BP was really low. I was like 40/60 for the longest time. So which means that, of course, right? I mean, I would stand and I would like, so I was it was getting very difficult for my husband to manage it. My kids were young, of
Mm.
course, both were small, and for him to manage his work, and then I was also working. In fact, I was at work where suddenly I fainted, right? I just crashed. And after that, I couldn't get back to work. They were so sweet. They held my job for me for a very long time. But
Mm.
then my body didn't cooperate. I couldn't get back to work at all. But I'm going all over the place, I realized. The question you asked was how. So I think at that point already, like I said, my body was not healing, and I developed Raynaud's, really bad Raynaud's. Raynaud's is when uh, the so basically my digits, my extremities had become purple. So there was no blood circulation. And then we got the shock of a life, where the doctor said, we went to a surgeon, that you'll have to, oh, the way it's growing, you'll have to amputate both your hands and legs. And we were like, okay, great idea. But I think we should leave.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. So because it was, I mean, if I even share the pictures that I have, it was scary, because there was like zero oxygen that was reaching my ends, and the doctors, it's funny, the doctor was actually would be very apologetic towards me. They would say, I don't know how you're smiling, Harleen. If you were my wife and I could not heal you, my wife would have beaten me up. Now why are you not more upset? But so I remember doctors saying all of that, and doctors apologizing to me and saying I'm sorry, and I'm like, it's an experience that was, they say that it's written.
Yeah.
Some experiences are written so that it makes you stronger. But after I came to India, I think only after 3, 4, 5 months, that's when I realized, that's when I got my, it took that long, because I had just gotten on the elimination diet, to be honest. I mean, we
Right.
saw that it worked. We saw that, you see, he gave us guidance. Sometimes all we need as human beings is guidance, which is what you and me do right now.
Hmm.
Right? When people come to us, we don't pretend to be a guru. We don't pretend to be someone who promises the world. All we're doing, at least what I'm doing, is just giving you guidance, right? Hearing your story, analyzing the data patterns, and just showing you a way and a path that works for you. So for me, when he put us on that path, and when I saw it, I saw myself being able to do things slowly by slowly, gradually, right? So
Mm.
it took time. But yes, after that, I did get back for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
So
then entering India was literally wheelchair because I couldn't walk, right? Obviously.
yeah. So here you are in a wheelchair, but starting to have a new diet, with lots of restrictions and stuff. What what else was there that ugh, sorry. What else was there that you did or were advised to do to get into health, or really was it just about changing your diet?
No, so diet was definitely a large part of it, but then more than diet, what really helps is your mental frame, right, and your emotional frame. It's like what my rheumatologist told me right at that point, the one that I was saying, who apologized, right? He's a great doctor. I won't. I mean, he's very well known and renowned and all of that. Like he said that he said, "How are you still smiling, Harleen?" He was flabbergasted, right? Because he could see I was getting worse and worse. He says, "Why aren't you livid? Why aren't you upset? Why aren't you irritated?" And the point is, he, what's the point,
Mm,
right? What's the point? I mean, it. I have to figure out a way. So coming back, the answer to your question is, I think having faith, having being able to control your thoughts and emotions. So that's what I do right now, right? The work that I do right now, what I help people doing is just helping them realign their thoughts and their emotions. Sometimes any problem that we face, any disturbance that we have, any issues that we are undergoing is nothing but, I feel, in my opinion, it's a misalignment of what we're thinking and what we're feeling,
mm,
right? Sometimes we're thinking, oh, you know what, we're great, we're awesome, yeah, I'm strong. We use all kind of affirmations. I'm great, I'm super awesome, I'm a rock star, I'm a rock star. But then if your heart says, honey, I mean, there's so much of pain, how can you be a rock star? So there is misalignment there, right? Affirmations, I mean, everything works after you empty your cup. I think that's the biggest thing mistake that that I feel the industry is going wrong with, especially the mental and emotional industry. Right? We put so much of emphasis on affirmations work great, trust me, but then we put so much of emphasis on moving forward that we forget there is a way, there is a path to move forward. Moving forward is not brute forcing it. You cannot force yourself to wear an armor and say, okay, walk, let's go. It's time to get into our army. It's time to fight. Sorry, it doesn't work that way.
yeah,
Don't you agree? It's,
absolutely.
it, it's about healing here. It's about healing here, right? Once this is healed and this is healed, then the kind of strength that comes from here, from deep within, that is what you project. And once you project that kind of energy, that kind of aura, the healing stays.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I really believe that there is that the mind body connection, and when you go through events and trauma and stress that you don't even recognize how stressed you are, this all has impacts on your body. and
Correct.
and what I usually do when I start working with people is really say, well, when did it all start? What was going on in your life when it all went pear-shaped? What
Down.
was going
Yeah.
on? Yeah, and people say, oh, nothing much. I was, a little bit of stress at work, or work wasn't going so
Correct.
well. But it's
Correct.
okay because I had my family. The people really kind of justify what they were going through, and really thinking that it wasn't as bad as that. It's kind of like it wasn't bad enough to bring on this illness, is a kind of thought. And but then I see that when we start talking about the mindset, as you say, and what is going on, with you now, and where is the hope, where is how are you dealing with your fears, how are you dealing with disappointments, how are you dealing with whatever is going on. And slowly people really get the courage to be able to say, okay, I was going through something, I really didn't know how
Right.
to handle it, I really didn't know what to do. And so I bottled it up. I just said, well, I'll just keep on going, and then at some point it erupts.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely right. Right. Because we believe ourselves to be very elastic, but we forget elasticity will break
Yeah.
under duress. Right.
Yes, even elasticity. And the what the I think the very first client that I had that he came with chronic pain. He had severe pain in his back and in his legs. The pain was everywhere, and the doctors didn't know what to do, and they was suggesting to him all of these pointless solutions because nothing, they didn't know the problem. They just looked at the symptoms as, oh, try this, try this. They were playing with his life, and when nothing was helpful, it was terrible. I mean, it was practically suicidal. There was no, this huge pain just wasn't going away. And when we started talking, and we were not talking about the pain, we were just talking about his life and what was going on, and what was happening before. Like I said, when did it start? And all of a sudden, you really see that the pain is really just a message. Your body is, your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind is trying to say to you, hey, you're doing something that is out of your alignment. You need to do something different. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Listen to where I'm trying to direct you.
Exactly. I think you're absolutely right. It
Yeah,
is. It's those alarm bells.
exactly.
Wake up! Enough! What you
The, sym-
doing?
exactly. The symptoms are really just exactly that. There's a wake up call. The
Yeah,
brain knows, right, that it was trying to tell you about the emotions all these years, and you've been ignoring it. The only
yeah,
thing it can do is say, okay, well, pain, because you
yeah,
have to listen to pain.
yeah.
But
But
tell
I
me,
think you uncovered the core of it all enough, which is right. At the end of it, all of these lifestyle diseases, chronic pains, and illnesses, they all stem from one thing, which is stress, right? So it is our and and there's nothing to be to feel bad about, right? So many people have trouble, especially in countries like India, where the culture is, oh my God, what, you can't take stress? Shame on you. What, are you so weak? I mean, are you such a loser? I mean, it's just stress. What's the big deal, right?
right?
So the fabric of the society doesn't permit human beings, permit at least the people who live here, to accept to accept that stress is getting too much to handle, right?
Yeah,
So I'm not saying defeat, because then you're not giving them a chance. They keep fighting, and then finally then it's defeat, it's game over. What about a middle ground? What about the chance, right, to let people know that no, the stress is getting too much, I need help, can you help me?
I think
Because
there
it
is a
is.
little bit of a problem because we know that it's stress related or trauma related, but the people don't. So a lot of the time they go to the doctors, and the doctors say, oh, it's this, and sometimes it takes a while to get the diagnosis, but sometimes there is a diagnosis, and then people say, okay, so here is my problem. And it's only when we come in and we say, actually, I know that this is what you've been diagnosed with, or this is your symptoms, but now let's talk about what actually brought them there. How did it start? What was going on? It's definitely a journey, and people need to, well, it will take them a moment to understand and to buy into this idea that actually, even though they're feeling pain, it's not necessarily that means that they're physically broken. It's a journey.
Exactly. Physically broken or even mentally broken. See, the mental stigma, I mean, at least
Mm,
the part of the world that I am in right now, the mental stigma is a lot.
yeah,
Right? So, yeah, so I think being physically broken is accepted here. Oh, you've had an accident. Okay, fine, that's fine. But
yeah,
then mentally to be saying, you know what? Oh, yeah, yeah, the work is getting too much, or I'm having headaches, or I can't work anymore, I'm just tired. There is no permission to say I am tired.
yeah.
How messed up is that? Just think about it, right?
And what do you do with your, people, like you say, with they come from your area, your neck of the woods, people that say, I am broken and I'm coming to you. How do you help them accept or admit or see that actually it's okay. It's not a bad thing to see that where it all started from stress and trauma.
So I think half of that is the credit of half of that goes to themselves, they themselves, right? Because they have taken the decision, they have already reached out to me.
Mm.
So that credit is already theirs. So they really don't need. The other half is where the proof is. Once they come and they start realizing there is benefit, the beauty is that just after one sitting, right, whether we talk for an hour or 2 hours, they themselves pick up on the fact that they're leaving more with more than what they came in I mean taking more than what they came in expecting.
Yeah.
And that's it, that's how the journey begins. You can't fabricate progress, you can't fabricate how you're feeling, right? You can't, there is no cheating here. This is just heart to heart, pure talk, pure heart to heart, and they leave happy. So in fact, most of my clients are on a referral basis, which is why, right? Or people who find me online, Google. My global clients have come to me with zero. I have done zero marketing, right?
Hmm.
Just like you, right? They just Google, they find someone, they read your reviews, and they realize, oh my God, okay, this person makes sense, right? But then again, the reviews that you have is just a small subset of people, because a large subset does not review because they're
Hmm.
afraid to even own that, right? They're afraid to talk about it because they can't. If they open their mouth at work, let's say someone's working in an IT firm in India, and they open and say, oh yeah, open their mouth and say, oh yeah, I'm going to a therapist, you should go to. That's doomsday for them.
Yeah.
Sorry, that guy's not going to be promoted. The manager's going to say, okay, he's like, leave
Yeah.
him. It's so sad. It's so much of prejudice, really. It's, I mean, yeah, I'm making fun of it. I'm being really but then snarky about it. But uh, what do
But
you do? Like,
I think
it's
it's
the
a
truth.
I think what you and I think we both feel that we are now a part of a movement, and the movement is really to say, okay, move away from the labels, move away from the fears,
Yeah,
move away from all of that, but look what is working for you. And of course, we're not dissing Western medicine, and we're not dissing, all of the doctors and all of that. What we want to say is that when something is not, when you've been diagnosed with something and the doctor says, well, we don't know how to help you, or we don't know what it is, or we're not sure what it is, let's have another conversation, because
correct.
there is more to life. There is more to how you're feeling than just what you've been told. And there is no magic wand. We can't just say, well, yes, it's stress related, so now you're fixed. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. But
Exactly.
it's
Right.
really about allowing the people to go through what they're going through and find the solution that works for them, despite the stigma, despite the, it's, if it works, it works. Give it a try. That's the
Right. No, and where there's faith, people can move mountains. So when you believe, you will find solutions. And I think you and me are examples of that. I think you've been through stuff too. People like us,
mm,
um, you you put in faith and you work for it, a solution will come. At least that's my belief, right?
yeah,
It may not be the solution that you have in mind, the expectation may vary,
yeah,
but there is a solution. It's just about you being open minded enough to first look at that solution, recognize it, accept it, and then walk on that path.
yeah,
Make sense?
absolutely, absolutely. Just being open to saying, hey, maybe I'll just see what it's all about.
Hannah? Yeah, true
Yeah.
that. Very true.
Yeah. Well, I think we come to a wonderful fair point to, in our conversation, to pause and invite people to get in touch. If you're suffering from anything, if you know someone who is, um, get them to have a conversation. That's it always starts with a conversation, and then, who knows, maybe it's the most important conversation you've made in a very long time. So, Harleen, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate you being here, your wisdom, your story, sharing and bringing the message to the world. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank
All
you.
right, you take care. And thank you, audience, for being a part of this storytelling. And like she said, sometimes all it takes is an effort. One conversation that could very well be the most important conversation of your life.
Yes.
That's it.
Here, here.
All right. Ciao.
Thank you.